welcome to HVAC Talk with Huff. I'm Huff, and I'm here at Penn Technical College. Did I get that right?
Penn College.
Penn College.
Penn College at Pittsburgh.
Penn College at Pittsburgh. Right? I knew I was going to screw it up, but people know I screw stuff up, so I just leave it in there in the video anyway. I'm here with Frank Gillis today. And Frank, what's your position here at Penn College?
So at Penn College, I'm part of workforce development and part of our building performance team. I'm the program manager for the residential side of our building performance. And I get to talk to people like Karen, you, the utilities, Duquesne Light, UGI, depending on what part of the state we are, to help bring more training for HVAC and building science to the state.
Now, you specifically deal with the HVAC part,
correct?
Yeah. Okay.
And building science, so everything residential.
Oh, everything residential
Yes.
kind of falls under you. And so you can see in the backdrop here, we got a bunch of different types of systems. We got conventional style heat pumps, we got gas furnace, we got an oil furnace, we got all kind of stuff here. I know that you actually have a duct blaster set up here. I also know you got a blower door set up in here inside the house that we were looking at when we were talking to Karen. This is an amazing facility. Got a whole house built inside this place, and then we got all these systems, plus there's systems in the house that you guys have installed. And so talk about the program. So like, how does someone enter in this program, and what does that look like? This is more built for contractors?
It's more built for incumbent workers.
Okay.
So for contractors, I guess we kind of got our start with weatherization. So we were initially a weatherization training center, funded through DOE and the Weatherization Assistance Program from DOE. So we were able to train incumbent workers, and we are the state trainer for all the people who work in the WAP in the state of Pennsylvania.
Oh, wow.
Kind of like, I know you're from Ohio, COAD.
I'm from West Virginia, actually.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're not from Ohio.
Most of my family wishes I was from Ohio. Bill's from Ohio, yeah.
So in Bill's phone state, COAD is the trainer for the state of Ohio.
Okay.
And I'm not sure who it is from West Virginia.
Yeah, I don't know. We don't even know.
But through the partnership with Pittsburgh Gateways and Karen, introducing us to more people to be able to bring it to more contractors who don't necessarily work with the Weatherization Assistance Program, to be able to get the word out and get more training and more people. And even though they're not associated with weatherization, if through programs like this, through Duquesne Light that we're here for today, if we can get more people doing things right, it's going to help the whole housing community for all those houses to be that much better, and it's going to help the whole industry that much more.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the problem, I think, that a lot of, in the past, the trades, they all look at their little piece of the pie.
Correct. Yeah.
And we forget that the homeowner lives in the whole pie, right? And that it takes all of us to make a safe, healthy home, right? Because we can do great filtration, and that's what we're doing here today in this event. But the fact is that if the building's not sealed, right, then that filter has to do a lot more work than it would normally have to do, and still is not going to be as efficient as it was if the house was, and the envelope was correct.
Correct.
And so here, you guys really take care of the holistic approach to the whole environment.
So through building science, the house is a system.
Right.
If we change one thing in the house, we're going to ultimately change something else too. So if we're making the house better, making improvements on the house, we're going to be doing some air sealing. But as we air seal, we have to know what that's going to affect on the other side. If we make the house tight, we may have to add some mechanical ventilation to be able to bring in that fresh air that we still need for humans, and also for, to get the moisture out of the house and everything like that, to make sure we don't have any issues. Ultimately, it's health and safety, energy efficiency, comfort, and durability of a home is what we're after.
Yeah.
But the building science, like you said, that holistic approach, we have to look at the whole picture, because if we focus on just our little portion, we're going to miss and not realize that we're going to adversely affect something else. Right.
Exactly. And I think that's the part people don't pay attention to. And I like what you said, if we can get people doing it better. And, I think about the word better, just the better really means an improvement, right? And so the thing is I look at better from two perspectives, and I'd like to get your take on this. I look at better as like, okay, I'm here and I'm given information that shows that there is an improved way to do it that ends up with a better result, right? So in me listening to that and now exercising that, I'm doing better. But then there's also the thing is seeking out, right, improved processes.
Absolutely. So a lot of times as contractors, we have our homegrown contractors that, it's been passed down from generations. But as we're making houses more efficient and tighter, those practices that we used to use years ago don't necessarily
They
fit
don't work
anymore.
anymore. Yeah.
We want to improve efficiency and we want to lower our utility bills, so we put higher efficiency equipment in. But the equipment itself is more technical than it used to be. So you have to improve. You have to seek out the additional knowledge, because if all you knew how to work on was an old oil-fired furnace, and you're working on a new variable speed compressor for an HVAC and a heat pump system, it's not the same. You can't just do the same things. You have to keep up with the industry.
Well, I think we forget how forgiving some of the old stuff was, right? I mean, with the oil furnace, look how small the ducts were, right? But our temperature rise was so much higher. I've seen just people take out oil furnaces and putting high efficiency gas furnaces and have limit problems because the temperature rise is so much lower.
Right.
You need more airflow, and people don't really see that part, right? And so, making these improvements, but understanding and seeking out the improvement is a huge thing. And I know that you guys are contributing in that area of providing and having the information and reaching out to folks. And look, if you're looking for a more improved understanding of what it is that we do and how to make the home as a system, right, comfortable and safe. I use the word safe a lot because I think we forget, right, of the health problems we could have just by our environment that we live in, right? Mold issues that they don't even realize they have because they got a serious humidity problem in their crawl space. They don't have vapor barrier, all these kind of things that contribute, right, to health problems that we forget, right? And so the fact that you guys have this information here and that you guys are always sharpening yourselves as well, right? Always seeking out the more improved way of being able to understand the building science and then also deliver that here. Now, I know the first week of April, you guys are doing was it a 4-day class?
A 4-day class, correct.
Right.
So heat pump design and commissioning class. So we'll go over the Manual J, Air Conditioning Contractors of America, Manual J, which is the load calculation. So we'll figure out how much heat the house loses during the winter and how much the heat gains during the summer. We'll use that information to do equipment selection. So again, ACA Manual S to do the equipment selection. So we'll make sure we're choosing the right equipment that's not oversized, that's not undersized, it's the right equipment for that house. Then we'll use that information to go into duct design. Forced air systems, we want to make sure that our duct is designed in a way that all the air gets to where it's supposed to get in an efficient way, so that each room is, not just putting that much heat into the house, but putting that heat into the house into the rooms where it's supposed to go, so that each room is comfortable and ventilated like it's supposed to be. And then the last step is going through a quality installation and a commissioning process. So a lot of times we just turn it on and, hey, it's done, yay, everything works, and get out of town, right? And then the service calls start happening. Hey, this room's uncomfortable, whatever. So we want to commission the system as we put it in. Make sure the refrigerant charge is correct. Make sure that the air really is going to where it's supposed to, as we design it to do. Fill out the paperwork and talk about what it would look like if somebody came back and did a quality checklist to make sure that it was done correctly. So all those things come together in a quick 4-day course. I wouldn't say you have a master's degree in it, but you're definitely more knowledgeable than everybody else to ready to go out and attack the problems.
I think what you all bring to light in there is first off understanding how to do a load calculation, because I've even met technicians that have been technicians for 30 years, but they've never done a load calculation. I think every technician ought to have to sit through one of these classes, just because we're out here trying to solve comfort problems and we don't even understand what we're trying to achieve. Like, why is that 3-ton unit in there? How did it become 3 tons? Why did 3 tons? Did they do the finger method where they just stood out on the sidewalk, see how many fingers? Right. So understanding how, because with that manual J process, we're understanding how heat does move, right? Because when we do that load calculation process, we're looking at the building materials, insulating type, right? Exterior, interior, all that go together. That wall is a system, right? And how heat is going to move through that wall depends on how it's built, what materials are used. But all these things contribute, right, to understanding now what it is that we're trying to achieve. Why is it that we're trying to replace 30,000 BTUs in that house every hour? Right? Why is it? So to me, even just every technician ought to go through that and also understand how the equipment is selected, manual S, manual D, and all those things make a huge difference. And so, yeah, they may not come out a master's degree, but they'll come out so much more enlightened than what I'd say the average bear, right?
Absolutely. And I would also add orientation and glass too.
Oh, yeah.
So you said how many? That covers 3 tons. But one I hear often is, 1 ton for 500 square feet.
Yeah,
But if the house faces north-south versus east-west,
it's totally different.
that's totally different, right? How much glass there is on the south exposure, totally different.
I tell you what. I actually years ago, the ACA used to have this Epic program. They don't do it anymore. But Hank, I always get his name wrong. Rukowski, I think, kind of was the lead engineer on the Manual J book, and his name's on it, right? And we were talking about that square footage rule. And he's like, the thing is I can take a 1,600 square foot house and a rancher, and that's one thing. But I take the same square footage, but I make it two 800 square foot blocks on top of one another. I totally change the dynamic because that floor in the middle, well, that's conditioned space, right? And so you have half of the floor space exposed, half of the ceiling space exposed up to the attic. And so that's why this square footage rules, as we know, right? Whether it's orientation, whether it's how the house is built, there's just like it's never been right. It's just been accepted as, and then the problem is that equipment wasn't sized right, but also the duct wasn't either. And when we had PSC motors, we would oversize the system, undersize the duct, and it would work by accident, right? And so these are the things we know. So these classes are so important. I know you guys do a great job, and 4 days is a small investment to make when you think about how much information you're going to get. Like, say, you're not going to master it and now all of a sudden go out here and design systems every day, but you are going to work differently, right?
Absolutely.
And that commissioning piece is huge, right? That's one of the pieces that I teach a lot, in my travels, is the commissioning piece and taking those actual measurements, right? Because if we don't measure, we don't know. How we know that airflow is right?
Yeah.
The hanometer just doesn't work very well. And so we so appreciate what you guys are doing here. So are there other programs? I know there's other classes that you guys teach here besides that, but I know that's kind of an important one here that you guys
So
are
that's the
doing.
important one, and that's the program that we're working with Duquesne Lights to really help out the contractors here in Pittsburgh. Like I said, our weatherization focuses on building science, and then for those workers that are working in building science for the and weatherization that are working for the utility programs that are working for weatherization assistance networks, they're getting a lot of building science. They're getting some residential heat so they can go test the equipment to make sure it's right. So as we're making improvements to houses, we kind of want to quantify that.
Right.
So to know how much energy I'm going to use, I have to be able to test the efficiency of the unit. So those energy auditors who go out to the houses, they're not just looking at the houses, but they're also looking at the HVAC system and doing a combustion analysis test. So they can plug that number into their energy model so they can justify, hey, I want to put insulation in this wall. I want to do these air sealing. I want to replace a window. And this is why I want to replace the window, because if I replace the window, then we can save this much money and it pays for itself.
Right. I mean, folks, these things are so important. And it's, again, I love this holistic approach. I keep using that word, but I just can't think of a better word. Is that, we're looking at the complete house as a system, and the training that you guys are giving folks is just, it's immensely important. And to think, I'm a homeowner, right? We're both homeowners. And, I want other homeowners to be as comfortable in their house and as safe as in their house as I am in mine, as you are in yours. And the only way we can achieve that is for all of us to really grow in that together. So do you guys, do you put your schedule online where people can register? How would they reach out and look and see what classes you're offering, and how would they get involved?
So through our website at PCT Workforce Development. So we're, like I said, we're Penn College, but my department is Workforce Development. So they would go to the Penn College webpage and specifically look for Workforce Development, and they would find our class schedule. And
Okay.
lead abatement's another one of those classes. Not
Oh,
lead
wow.
abatement. I assume I misspoke.
Yeah.
Not lead abatement, working safe with lead.
Okay.
So if you're not familiar, homes that were built before 1979 had lead bait. This is embarrassing. I'm not sure if it's 79 or 78. I think it's 79. Homes built before 1979 probably had lead paint used in them. So if we're doing any kind of renovations that we're going to disturb the paint, we need to make sure that we're working safe so we don't cause lead poisoning for ourselves or the homeowners.
Something we don't even really think of.
You don't even really think about it.
Yeah, wow.
So that's one of our courses, and that's on there. And another contractor course that we're trying to get everywhere to make sure everybody is safe and not causing problems for the homeowners.
And you guys have multiple locations.
Correct. So here in Pittsburgh, where we're at right now, 7,800, we have our home site in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, in the state's capital in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. We have another training site, and just right down the road here in Latrobe, in the air park right there next to Arnold Palmer, is it International Airport? We have a training site there as well. So,
Fun fact for you.
okay.
My mother-in-law was first cousins with Arnold Palmer.
Oh, that's awesome.
She's from Latrobe.
She's the one that served him the tea for the first time.
Maybe she would talk about how they would have family reunions and he would come, and he was just such a gracious person,
Mhm.
right? So I just thought I would throw that in there. I'm not important, but my mother-in-law was, because she knew Arnold, right? Matter of fact, she had never seen an Arnold Palmer tea in a bottle, and so I went into like a sheet store and I saw an Arnold Palmer, and I bought it, and she was just blown away. That is so amazing. He has his own, right? It's pretty cool. Anyway, it's a beautiful facility.
Well, thank you very much.
And so what we'll do is I'll put a link in the description that'll take them right to your schedule. That way they don't have to go around and look. So we'll put that
Okay.
right in there, and they can contact you through that website as well, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Frank, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Really appreciate it. And you guys got to, if you're in the area and you get a chance to check this place out, it is amazing. But please spread the word. We just need more of this,
Mhm.
and so we can't spend enough time learning. We just can't. Right. So
Better every day.
absolutely appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.